The wedding was over, and Wan found herself in Jungkook's room. She looked around, taking the dimly lit surroundings, lit only by a few candles and petals. The room felt dark and somewhat secluded, creating a sense of intimacy. Jungkook entered the room, shutting the door behind him. His gaze was intense, his eyes fixed on her. His hands were casually stuffed in his pockets, and he made his way towards the bed where she was sitting. He came to a stop in front of her, standing close enough that she could feel his presence. His gaze unwavering, he looked down at her, his eyes locking with hers. When feeling his closeness and intensity nervously met his gaze, her heart pounding a little faster than before. Breaking the silence, he sternly asked, his tone casual, his gaze never leaving hers. Jungkook, why do not you tell me that you love me? She looked at him, her eyes widened. Taken aback by his question, she stuttered, why, me? Before she could finish her denial, Jungkook interrupted her, leaning closer, his face a mere inches away from hers. Looking deep into her eyes, he confessed, Jungkook, because I fell for you long ago. As he spoke those words, he leaned in and gently pecked her lip. The gesture filled with tenderness and desire. Her eyes grew wide, her cheeks flushing at his stern confession. She sat there, still as a statue, frozen by the unexpected admission. A mixture of shock, joy, and disbelief washed over her, leaving her momentarily speechless. Seeing her reaction, he could not help but laugh softly. He chuckled affectionately, enjoying the sight of her flustered state. Her wide-eyed expression and flushed cheeks amused him, and he found it daring. Jungkook sat beside her, taking her hand in his and gently holding it. He smiled at her, and with a hint of amused affection, he said, "Come on, my sassy Vian, say something." She looked down at their interlocked hands, her gaze fixed on them. Then, turning to him, she inquired, how do you know? Jungkook. A few weeks ago, I found out it was someone called Parik. I believe he was your best friend. He told me everything about your feelings for me, about Sophia, and about your stepmother. He spoke calmly, his eyes watching her intently, assessing her reaction. Her eyes widened in disbelief as she repeated, Wine, Barik? Jungkook nodded and continued explaining. Jungkook, I also helped him because I did not want to marry Sophia either, so I provided him with some evidence, which he then sent to you. She looked at him in utter disbelief, a mix of surprise and amusement on her face. She shook her head and spoke. Wow, you guys really planned so much. I can't believe Barik did not tell me. He told you. That sneaky friend. Jungkook chuckled and said, he really is your best friend, is not he? If it were not for him, we would not be married right now. She looked at him, her eyes searching his face for any hint of deception. She asked softly, her words laced with a mixture of hope and vulnerability. Do you really love me? He smiled warmly at her, his eyes filled with affection. Jungkook, if I didn't love you, why would I have helped you in secret? His words were sincere, and the smile on his face indicated that he felt nothing but love for her. A slight frown appeared on Vine's face as she glared at him. Vine, then why did not you confess to me? You know how much it hurt me to see Sophia being all clingy with you? He raised his eyebrows, a playful smile on his face. He could not help but tease her. Jungkook. Oh, someone is jealous, huh? He leaned closer to her, his eyes twinkling with amusement. He smiled soft and slightly, and he assured her, Jungkook, you have no reason to be jealous because there's no one else for me except you. He looked into her eyes, his expression serious. He confessed sincerely, Jungkook, I have always been captivated by you, and if I had married Sophia, I had already planned on divorcing her after securing the legacy. She squinted her eyes at him. She asked, Why, you are already a mafia king. Why do you want that legacy so badly? She tilted her head, waiting for his response. Jungkook chuckled, his laughter filling the room. He leaned back slightly, his eyes sparkling with mirth as he looked at her. Because, my dear, a mafia king craved power, prestige, and control. The legacy would give me just that. And I built that empire, and I don't want it to go to waste. The power and influence I have gained over the years is all because of the empire I have created. I have big ambitions, and the legacy would cement my position as the ultimate mafia king. Maya looked at him like she was trying to decode his words. I have never truly understood you. He gently pulled her into a warm embrace, his arms encircling her tightly. His voice was filled with tenderness as he spoke. Don't understand me, just love me. He held her close, his body pressed against her, as if he did not want anything to come between them. She smiled against his chest. She teased him. You want me to love you without understanding you? That's asking for a lot, is not it? Should not it be the other way? Jungkook laughed lightly, acknowledged her comment. He played along with her banter, his voice still warm and tender. Jungkook, you caught me. I suppose I am asking a lot. He gently pulled her closer, his arms wrapping tighter around her. She looked at him while her chin resting on his chest. When, you know, this is the first time you're laughing like this in front of me. This much. He also looked at her and smiled. Jungkook, I think I already told you once, you are the one who can bring the side of me. Fine. And what if Sophia comes again? She looked at him. She is not worried, she just don't want any of the drama. Jungkook replied resolutely, his tone firm and authoritative. Jungkook, she won't be coming back. I will make sure of that. Jungkook, I know they have caused you so much pain. Because of them, your mom died and your father never showed you the love you deserve. Ryan, how do you know? She was taken aback by his knowledge of her life, wondering how he could possibly be aware of her past struggles and her longing for love. Jungkook glanced at her, his smile widening, as he spoke confidently. Jungkook, I know everything about you. Ryan, I have always wanted revenge on them. They have caused me so much suffering. I can't let them go away with it. Her voice was filled with the weight of her experience, the longing for justice clear in her expression. He placed a gentle hand on her shoulder, his voice calm and reassuring. Jungkook, don't worry, they are already suffering. His tone was unwavering, a hint of satisfaction in his eyes. It was clear that he had taken measures to ensure they were facing consequences for their actions. She looked at him, visibly confused by his response. Man, what do you mean by that? How are they suffering? He smiled slowly, his eyes filled with determination. He replied confidently, Jungkook, you don't think I would just let them go after they cause you so much pain, do you? There was an undeniable edge in his tone, signaling his intention to ensure justice for her and punish her abusers. She looked at him, her eyes filled with a mixture of gratitude and affection. She wrapped her arms around him in tight embrace, holding him close. her body pressed against his, the hug expressing her deep appreciation for his protective and vengeful nature. Jungkook, your dad is going to suffer so much. He's going to go bankrupt. And you know what upsets me? The fact that he's your father and I can't lay a hand on him. Vine was silent for a moment, her expression unreadable. Finally, she spoke softly, her voice tinged with a mixture of pain and resignation. Vine, I don't have a father. Do whatever you want. Jungkook broke the embrace and looked at her. His eyes filled with intensity. Without a word, he leaned closer and captured her lips with his in a passionate kiss. His lips moved against her, expressing his love and possessive nature. He looked into her eyes, his gaze filled with deep affection. Jungkook, I love you, he repeated, emphasizing his certainty. And I promise I will always be by your side. No one will ever lay a finger on you. I will protect you no matter what. Wan's eyes softened as she listened to his words, her heart filled with a mix of gratitude and love. She reached out and gently touched his cheeks, her voice tender. Wan, I love you too, she said, her voice filled with emotion. And I know you will keep me safe. I trust you completely. He looked at her. He spoke with a hint of tease in his voice, a hint of smile on his lips. Jungkook, you look absolutely stunning in that gown, he said, his voice roaming over her figure, appreciating her beauty. I can't help wondering how you would look without it. He could not help but let his desires get the better of him as he shamelessly admired her figure in the gown. She felt her cheeks flush slightly at his words, a mixture of embarrassment and excitement coursing through her. She tried to maintain her composure, but his intense gaze made it difficult. "Oh, stop it," she protested, though her voice lacked conviction. Secretly, his words pleased her. He chuckled lowly, enjoying the effect his words had on her. He leaned closer, his eyes darkening with desire. Jungkook, oh, but why should I stop? He teased, a hint of mischief in his voice. I do wonder how you will look without that gown. Perhaps I should find out for myself.